Homo sapiens, Latin for wise man or knowing man, are the only living species in the Homo genus. They have originated in Africa about 200,000 years ago. The highly developed brain of human beings are capable of reasoning, language, and problem solving, as well as self-awareness, rationality, and the ability for self-expression.
Hey, what are you working on?
Just our research project on Homo sapiens, the Latin term for human beings.
Wow, that's awesome. What are some distinguishing traits and major events in the evolution of the human species?
Well, first, scientists have discovered a new species of Australopithecus. The name for the new species is Ardipithecus ramidus and anamensis, reported to have lived more than 4 million years ago. Major characteristics include the straightening and strengthening of the spine, development of spongy tissue in the tibia, enlargement of the jaw, and hardening of the teeth enamel.
This is all so much information, but what does this have to do with natural selection?
Natural selection is nature's way of selecting certain alleles that carry a trait beneficial to the survival of that species. Natural selection also eliminates the individual members of the species not carrying the survival trait, creating a new species through gradual changes in traits. Obviously, this all happens over a long period of time. Chance causes the mutations within a gene pool that code for a trait that would aid in the survival of a species in a specific environment or condition.
What's the evidence that the Australopithecus has evolved over generations?
Well, first, the jaw bones in the anamensis are U-shaped. The human jaw widens to the back of the mouth and is much larger. Second, the tibia of anamensis and humans is similar, but contrasting with chimpanzees in that the front of the tibia is wider because of extra spongy tissue that serves as a shock absorber in creatures that walk with 2 feet. Finally, chimpanzees that walk on their knuckles have an oval hollow at the bottom of their humerus for extra elbow stability, a trait visibly lacking in both human and anamensis, alluding to the theory that anamensis did not walk on their knuckles.
Interesting. What do you know about the early hominids?
Well, Australopithecus inhabited the Earth about 3.5 million years ago. They were bipedal and were small-brained and had canine teeth and large jaws. Contrary to popular belief, they were descended from a species that no longer exists called Australopithecus. Apes, chimpanzees, and humans were all descendants from this common ancestor who lived from 6 to 7 million years ago. Lastly, common structures and behaviors often demonstrate the species have evolved from common ancestors.
Human evolution is the lengthy process of change by which people originated from ape-like ancestors. Scientific evidence shows that the physical and behavioral traits shared by all people originated from ape-like ancestors and have evolved over a period of 6 million years. One of the earliest defining human traits is bipedalism, or the ability to walk on 2 feet. Human beings developed this trait over 4 million years ago. Another defining characteristic of human beings is our large and complex brains, which give us the ability to make and use tools, as well as have the learning capacity for language. Humans are primates. Physical similarities show that the modern human species, Homo sapiens, have a very close relationship to another group of primate species, the apes. We both share a common ancestor that lived between 8 and 6 million years ago. Humans first evolved in Africa, and much of human evolution occurred on that continent. This is an incomplete skull fossil of Ardipithecus ramidus, nicknamed Ardi, discovered in 1994 by Tim White, professor at UC Berkeley. This species is the earliest hominid yet discovered and dates to 4.4 million years ago in the Afar Desert region of Ethiopia. Ardi stood about 4 feet tall and, most importantly, was a bipedal creature with strong leg muscles for climbing but with more rigid feet for walking. In 1974, the fossil of an early hominid, later named Lucy, was discovered in Hadar, Ethiopia. Categorized as Australopithecus afarensis, she is the last common ancestor to all later branches of primates, including humans. The discovery of Lucy by paleoanthropologist Donald Johanson was significant as the skeleton shows evidence of small skull capacity similar to that of apes and points to the bipedal upright walk similar to that of humans, providing further evidence supporting the view that bipedalism preceded increase in brain size in human evolution. This is a skull fossil of Australopithecus africanus, discovered by Raymond Dart in 1924 in Kimberley, South Africa, and nicknamed Tong's Child. Its brain size was larger than the Afarensis, though it could not speak. It had large molars and strong tooth enamel for chewing tough plants, and its jaw was similar to humans today. These are fossils of Homo erectus, discovered in East Java, Indonesia by Eugene Dubois in 1981. Homo erectus lived between 1.8 million and 300,000 years ago. Its brain was almost the same size as modern man. The species definitely had speech. Brain development coincided with the use of tools, weapons, and fire. Modern humans can be characterized by the lighter build of their skeletons compared to earlier humans. Modern humans have very large brains, with average size approximately 1,300 cubic centimeters. The skull is a thin-walled, flat, and near vertical forehead. Our jaws are less heavily developed and we have smaller teeth. Human geographical distribution can be studied through the out-of-Africa theory, in that early humans migrated out of Africa over millions of years. Australopithecus ramidus lived in eastern Africa, Middle Awash, Gona, Ethiopia, which is desert, but back 4.4 million years ago it contained forests, lakes, and abundant wildlife. Australopithecus anamensis was found in eastern Africa around Lake Turkana, Kenya, and Ethiopia. Due to climate change and fierce predators, anamensis moved east in search for shelter and food 4 to 3.2 million years ago. Homo erectus lived in northern and eastern Africa as well as western and eastern Asia, and Indonesia and China around 1.8 million and 143,000 years ago due to the intense heat that dried up all plant life which Homo erectus ate. Homo neanderthalensis lived in Europe and Central Asia 200,000 to 28,000 years ago and began to settle as well as develop communities and culture. Hunting and weapon making allowed them to overcome predators and become masters of their environment. This fossil, La Forassie, was discovered in southwestern France. In agriculture, the study of evolution is used to breed crops for their longevity to increase their marketability. For example, farmers select tomatoes that are proven to last longer. With this information, I can choose to buy tomatoes that are grown on small local farms that are not owned by corporations, or I can grow my own so that the tomatoes are grown for taste, not longevity.